Welcome back to Louisiana. I am Samuel, and in our last short video, I went to this abandoned gravel pit and I rode my mountain bike down one of these gravel mountains. Well, today I decided that I wanted to actually go back to this gravel pit and explore around and see some more of the cool stuff that was there, because I think I saw some little, maybe some little leftover equipment and maybe a pond or something that I really want to go check out. So today, we're going to be going exploring an abandoned gravel mine, and let's just go see what's there. Let's get into the video. Yeehaw! So our new way to get out to this gravel pit has brought us to a oil pump jack and battery, oil battery here, like I explored in a previous video. So here's our first little look into this abandoned gravel pit. This little mound right here is what I was riding bikes down in a earlier expedition out here, but this time we're gonna go explore a little bit more and kind of see what was going on. Our first piece of abandoned equipment to check out, I'm not really sure what this did. It looks like it has sand all inside of it. So it might have been pumping sand through or something. Little engine here, and there's some more sand in there, so it might have been its job. I saw this. Look at how big this cable is to go into that electric engine. You can see the big thick wires inside that. Just walking along this rubber strip here, it looks like it might have been a conveyor belt to carry out some sand. And over here is another piece of equipment that we're going to go look at and see what this is. So this is a product of the Deister Machine Company in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and it looks pretty big. It looks like it might have been sifting out different sizes of gravel with these different sizes of lattices here, and the smaller gravel could keep falling through until you had thick rocks, smaller rocks, and maybe some fine sand falling through down there. So that's a pretty cool thing there. What happened is you had shovel loads of gravel taken right out of the pit, dropped on here, and then it get sent off on various conveyor belts to its different levels. Because when you walk out on these big mounds of gravel over here, they're all different types. Like that's pretty fine, and some have more rock content in them. Because this was probably what's responsible for sorting those different sizes of gravel. Down here in all the middle of the sand, there's some big blocks of styrofoam, and then you look over here, and there's a little boat. You're just sitting out here in the middle of this Louisiana desert. Big cliff walls over there are part of the actual gravel pit, and they filled up with water. So I'm thinking these styrofoam blocks were to float equipment out there onto the water. And I also noticed there's some lifesavers here, so if a worker fell in, he could be rescued. Now we've made our way over to the old aluminum boat here, which has some pretty good attachment points welded onto the front and this little rubber bumper, so it might have carried equipment out into the middle of that pond out there. Here's what looks like a little wooden box, but if you get closer, you actually see that it has a window on it, what might have been a door. And then inside of here you can see some little stuff that this must have been a little shack at one time. And it is looking out over the actual gravel pit, which is now filled up with water and turned into a little pond. So I mean, you know, I was looking out here and there's nothing but water, and then all around me there's nothing but rocks. When you put rocks and water together, usually you can get something to bounce. So we're gonna see if we can skip us a rock out on this gravel pit. This looks like it might be a pretty good one. So we have a pretty nice little flat bank down here we can get up on to see if we can skip this little rock. All right, here we go. Look at that one. He had 5 little skips out there. Oh, we got a little bit of a quicksand going on here. Look at this. You step out in it and it kind of, yeah, look at that little quicksand stuff. That's pretty interesting. So it's about 91 degrees outside right now, and I've just come up right up to the water's edge. We're just gonna see what it feels like. It's actually pretty cool. If it wasn't so murky and dirty, this would be a nice little swimming hole out here. And you've even got you a little beach. Now before we walk away from here, we gotta get one more skip in. That's a pretty good one. I still hadn't made it to the other bank yet though. We're over on that bank, but I want to get closer to these big cliffs over here just to give you an example of how big they are. And I don't know if you can really tell with me right here. I want to get up closer and show you just how tall these things are. Maybe look at the geology in them. Now on around on this other side of this little lake, and look what we find. We find another little boat. But now we're getting up closer to some of these cliffs, and look at this. You can see some big, wait, this is actually concrete. This isn't rocks. But you can see how big these are, and you actually see how they actually start changing layers. You have all this red clay coming down, and then down here you start getting a little different shading of the geology there. Right up here, you can actually see a little difference in that top layer up there, and then it starts looking like it's come down to a second layer down here when it gets a whole lot lighter in color, maybe a little bit sandier than that actual clay is up top. If you've been out to the Grand Canyon, you might have seen some of these, and if you've been to the smaller canyon kind of close by it called Bryce Canyon, you've definitely seen some of these. They're called Hoodoos. They're little mountainous little spiral structures, And well, you might think we don't have any in Louisiana, but actually we do. Let me show you some. If you look right up here, and you got to come up close and pull out your microscope, you can actually see some little miniature versions of hoodoos and how they form just a little hard rock covering, which shields the dirt under it from the rain and the elements. And it forms these little tiny spires, and they're really small versions of what you see out in the Grand Canyon and Bryce Canyon, but they're forming the same way, which is really cool to see. Now you see all these pine trees around here, and they're growing pretty normally. And then you look on up this cliff face, and you see this little pine tree here growing in the side of a cliff. And then you look a little further up, and you see this pine tree hanging upside down, growing down. I don't know what way he thinks he's going, but somehow he's able to hang on and grow upside down. That is pretty impressive. There's another little pine tree growing right out the side of this little formation here. I'm actually kind of curious. The whole time we were walking over there from that beach to over here, there's this little pipe running. I don't know what it is, if it's electrical or transporting a fluid or something, but it runs all the way around this pond. And then here's another little boat. This one looks like it kind of held more people instead of equipment, because the other one's flat bottomed. The further around we go, the little bit better the beach is getting. Now it's just a pretty nice little sloping sandy dune right into the water's edge. Look over here, you can see this pipe running, and then it keeps on running over here, and all of a sudden right here it's broken and hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm not sure where this pipe was supposed to go, if it came down to the ground and ran into something, if it was supposed to keep on going around there, but now it's not doing that. Let's see if we can look inside of it a little bit. It looks like it actually had a little connection on it that would have connected and maybe gone over to the other side of this cliff, but right there, it's nothing but an empty old pipe. Here's some sort of a cable that runs all the way from that cliff and down. It's buried underneath the sand. I'm not sure where it goes to. I don't think it was the beginnings of a zip line, and it doesn't look like it carried power. It looks like a sport cable, and I'm not sure why that cliff would this cliff, and then you come on look over here, you can actually see some really cool formations. Look like some diagonal layers of rock and dirt here inside this cliff, and that was some pretty serious upheaval of I'm standing right here. You can get an idea for the scale of how tall these canyon walls here right here. They're pretty tall, going right up, and then you have this pond, which probably goes down a pretty far ways down there underneath the ground. Most these little walls over here, they start up at the top with some orangey clay. But over here we have this one starting, and it's kind of yellowish, and then it goes down to another gray layer, and then it goes on down to, it's like more kind of uniform of what's been going on over here, and then it forms on out. And way over here on this other wall, you can actually see right there a pretty big version. What looks like one of those little small hoodoos we were seeing, except this one is a whole lot larger, full-size version. Over here, we have another big pipe flowing right down into the water, looks like. Maybe a little valve went there. Then we have some more styrofoam and some big metal frames for holding the styrofoam is what it looks like. And even another little pipe going to the middle of nowhere over there. But I brought my drone, so we're going to send it up and get some drone shots of this whole little lake out here. Picked this up off the ground. It is a RPM gauge for some cat equipment. I'm not sure what it would go to, but this is just pristine, sitting right here by this little guard shack. So we'll set him right back there. Water's over there. Then we have some big pipes over here, and we have even more sand dunes over here. From the drone, I wasn't really sure what it was. It's just a whole little semicircle of concrete with gravel on top of it going all the way around. There's some little pins of some sort on here that might have held stuff together. And it has a little stop, and I'm wondering if it might not have had a little trolley going around it at one point, carrying stuff around from one place to another. Right over there is another little concrete pad. There's another concrete pad, and then here is yet another concrete pad with some concrete skids on it. So there must have been some equipment mounted on top of these out here. There's some steel stuff down inside this concrete. Here's some steel rods, and here's a lot of lumber. And then here's some more remnants of old equipment. In here, for almost no reason, we have a pipe sticking out of the ground, and it's sticking down there a good little ways, and I can't tell what's down it. Here's an interesting find. It might kind of be what you expect to find at an abandoned place, and it might not be. This is an old abandoned truck here. It's pretty abandoned. Here's some piece of metal. I'm not sure what this goes to, but it is pretty heavy there. Just an old abandoned truck, just sitting out here doing nothing.
Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this video and the little tour around the gravel pit. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your grandmother because you know she loves exploring gravel pits. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.